Yeah, you're tuned in to the Steve Gunner Podcast. Yeah, the Steve Gunner Podcast. You're tuned in to the Steve Gunner Podcast. Get up, it's the Steve Gunner Podcast.
Welcome all to another episode of the Steve Gunter Podcast, where we discuss the steps, the strategies, and the mindset of real estate investing, tailor-made for the pro athlete. I'm your host, Steve Gunter, and it's an honor and privilege to be with you today. Today, we have a very, very special guest with us, Mr. Shaun Draughn. Shaun was a college football standout at the University of North Carolina. He went on to have a very esteemed NFL career, and today he runs a highly successful home building company and is also the co-founder and president of the Draughn Family Foundation, which provides middle and high school students with the building blocks to grow their strengths in social, academic, and moral arenas. Shaun, it's such a pleasure to have you on today, my friend, man. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the last time that I saw you actually was at the boxing event, the charity boxing event that we did late last year, and you and your wife was just so gracious to come and support it. It was good seeing you, man. I hope you had a good time too.
I did, man. Did. I think that was actually our first time, putting a face with the name. So yeah, it was good. It was a good event, man. We enjoyed it. I mean, it was some hard hitting boxes in there too. So it was it was pretty entertaining. I didn't know what to expect, I guess, but it definitely was a good event. You put on a tremendous event. I hope you do it again soon.
We do plan to do it again. You know, boxing is funny because, man, you look at a lot of those athletes, and sometimes people think, especially when they watch it on television, that those guys are big, and the vast
Right.
majority of them aren't really big guys.
Yeah.
But in terms of the impact that they make, man, it's
Right. They
it's
know how to move their
amazing, man.
body to get the right angles and the power. The power's from the hips anyway. Everybody know that as
The
an athlete.
powers from the hips.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah. So
yep,
yeah, the
absolutely.
little hits sting.
They do, they do, and some of them you feel it late. Those are the worst ones.
The delayed one.
Exactly, exactly. But look, man, again, really appreciate your time today. I wanted to start off by chatting with you. Uh, actually, take me back
Hmm.
to 2011.
Okay.
When you got that call
Hmm.
from who was formerly the Washington Redskins, now we know them as the Washington Commanders, and they're like, "Hey, we want you to be a part of our team."
Hmm.
What was that like?
Well, I got a couple calls. It wasn't the call that I wanted, but I got a couple calls. So the coach, Bobby Turner, who was the running backs coach at that time, we had kind of built a rapport when I went to the NFL Combine in Indy, and I talked with him extensively. And I had a lot of good conversations with him, after the fact. So that year was actually the year of the lockout. So that year was
Mm,
already, it was kind of funky anyway. But like I said, we had a couple, exchange phone calls and texts, during that process between the combine and between the draft. So the draft came, and I knew I wasn't going to be an early round guy. So I was like fourth or fifth round. Bobby Turner calls me. It was like, we're gonna draft you with this next pick. So I'm in the room with my family and my parents, and my grandma and sisters and cousins. And I'm like, he said he's gonna pick me.
are
So
you at home? Are you back home during this time? Are you
yeah, I'm
are
actually in
you at
Tarboro. Yeah, at my
okay?
parents' house at that time. Yeah.
Okay. Hmm.
So it, I tell them like they just call me. That everybody, I'm on the phone and everybody's like listening in, trying to figure out what's going on. And so I was like, they said they were gonna pick me. So they get on the clock. They pick another running back. I ain't called names. They picked another running back, and it wasn't me. So
Mm.
a couple rounds later, he calls me back. He's like, "Yeah, we're gonna try to take you with this next pick. We got another pick." I was like, "Okay, let's go." And so they get on the clock. They pick another running back, and it wasn't me.
Oh.
so, long story short, we get to the end of the draft. I didn't get the call, but like I said, I talked with Bobby Turner, who was the running backs coach at the time, and he called me after the draft and was like, we wanted to take you and all this crazy stuff, man. It's all good, but they end up not taking me. But he was like, I would love for y'all, you still to come to camp and earn your spot. And I wasn't a stranger to that, so I was ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
But so this was, like I said, this was the year of the lockout, and he was like, just come to camp. We'll sign you as a free agent, and we'll go from there. So I kind of said I'll think about it, or I would love the opportunity or something like that. So fast forward, they couldn't contact us until the lockout was lifted, and so
Mm.
he called me. I had like 12 other teams actually call me, before everybody went to camp. And so I had a choice. I actually, and crazy story, I hate to get long winded, but
Mm-hmm.
so I grew up a Cowboys fan. Um,
Mm-hmm.
right. So I grew up a Cowboys fan, and then, they ended up calling me. And I was like, man, this is a hard decision because I hadn't built any rapport. Relationships are everything. And,
Right.
I already talked to Bobby Turner from Washington, and he called me again. I called my mom and dad. I was like, I don't know where to go. You know what I'm saying? Y'all pray about it. And they were like, they said Cowboys. This is probably the only regret I still have until this day, is that they said Cowboys. I was like, oh no, like I actually moved to Maryland at that time, and then again, like I said, the relationship was kind of what was pressing upon me. Like, man, I don't know. I would rather go with somebody I know, and maybe have a better chance. And
Right.
so I ended up deciding to go to the Redskins as a free agent, and I was there, but I didn't stay long. I was there basically for training camp.
Got it. Got it. But to that point of relationships you made mention of, I mean, that is really a secret sauce
Yeah.
in business, period, isn't it?
hmm Yeah, it is. It definitely is. I
Hmm.
mean, I've learned that, now, like I knew it then, but it's so much more prevalent now that, you have to actually depend on certain people, in order to, be able to get what you need to get done.
Yeah.
And I'm no stranger to relationships. So, it's definitely a learning curve outside of football into the business world. It's a different type of relationship, but relationships are relationships.
Yeah.
Uh,
Who put that football in your hand when you were younger, man?
Man, I don't even know. I just remember I picked it up and didn't put it down. I mean, my dad, he was more of a track guy. Like he played football, for a few seasons, but back in the day, he actually had to work in tobacco, so he didn't get a chance to really play football like that because he had to work. But he was more of a track guy. And
Mm.
but growing up, I watched football with my dad and my granddad, watching Cowboys on Sunday.
Yep.
Um, so, but I remember like my dad had a football helmet in the laundry room when I was growing up, and I don't know why he had a football helmet, but I picked that thing up. I was, and I put that on, and you know, I, that's really like my earliest memory, of like loving football.
What
But
age is this? What age is this, Sean?
it's at least
Around about.
4 or 5, maybe
Mm.
maybe earlier.
Hmm.
Um, but then, like I said, I watched football growing up, and there was just something that about it I loved, and I was I would run around the house with my sisters. I tell this story all the time when of course we didn't have money to get shoulder pads, so I would you know how you roll up socks and kind of make it like a like a ball.
Yep.
I would
Yep.
put it in my shoulders and act like I had shoulder pads on and play around the house and tackle my sisters and you know little memories like that. But you know, like I said, ever since I can remember, I love football.
I love that. Who was
Yeah,
the little? Did you play little league? I would assume.
yeah. So I was so there's three high schools in my areas: North Edgecombe, South Edgecombe, and Tarver High. And they all have like a little league program based
Okay.
around them, right? And I actually played for North Edgecombe Warriors in
Mm-hmm.
little league, and I played with them from fourth grade on up to seventh grade. Um,
Mm,
so I didn't even play for Tarboro teams. I played for the North Edgecombe team, which is in Leggett.
got it.
So yeah, I was with them from fourth to seventh grade,
And if I was reading correctly, in high school, man, you played everything. I
pretty
think you
much.
played quarterback, running
Yeah,
back, linebacker.
yeah.
Did I see DN or something like that on there? I mean, I just
That's
saw a
probably the
lot
only
of.
thing I didn't play.
Okay, I saw so many positions. I
Yeah,
had to. I was like, wow, this is
yeah,
he was the team.
yeah. I remember hearing somebody say Shaun Draughn does everything except for sell popcorn. Yeah, no, but no,
That's good.
I played everything, man. It was I mean, I come from a small town, and you know, we were playing in 2A league, but we should have been 1A a long time ago, well before you know they became 1A, which was maybe a year or two after I left high school.
Yep.
But we were playing like some good 2A teams. But yeah, I had to play everything. We had like 22 players on my
Mm.
team, like
Wow.
11th and
Wow.
12th grade.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had to move it around, boy.
Yeah. But that's when football was really fun though, right? I mean, I can
Yeah.
remember in my early years when I played and
Hmm.
you were far better than I was,
Bro.
but just you play a bunch of positions.
Hmm.
And I I played quarterback, I played receiver, I played corner, and
Yeah.
but it was really fun. And then especially when you play against the guys across town, and sometimes
Oh yeah.
you're playing receiver, he's playing DB, you're playing DB. It's just
Yep.
that matchup, and
That
then you
matchup.
guys see each other somewhere outside, and you're like, "Hey, I remember what I did." Ah, la, la. It's just
Yep.
like that was really fun. Did you
Yeah.
have that
Oh
same
yeah.
feeling? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, shoot, especially the competitive side. I mean, my wife will tell you, you know, anybody will tell you, I'm really competitive. Like
Mm-hmm.
no matter what it is, I want to win.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, to have bragging rights, like you said, it was fun to you know see the guys out that you played played across from and across town,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
you know just to have bragging rights and talk a little junk. But yeah, it definitely was fun. Like you said, you playing everything, trying to figure out what you're gonna play. I mean, a lot of times, you know, the smaller schools, or even back in the day, like people were playing everything. It doesn't matter, you know, like locking down to a position like they're trying to get kids to do now, because
Right.
they, you know, foresee them going to college. But you know, back then, like you said, I was just playing to play, and I didn't even know I was good enough to go to college. I just knew
Mm.
I was balling. I just, I mean, that was, of course, I like I said, from a youngin, I knew I was going to the NFL. Like I didn't know how, but I knew I was going. I knew
Mm.
that was my dream. I always told you know my teachers, my parents, everybody I was going to the NFL. Um, but yeah, it's good times.
I love it. So during your time in the NFL, and you're building this career,
Hmm.
but how often did you think about life after the sport? Was that something that came up in your mind regularly?
So while I was playing in college, so I mean, I had a kind of funny college career because I started out at safety. You know, I was recruited as an athlete, but I mean, my main position was running back. But I
Hmm.
started out at safety. And so when I got to college, you know, found out that safety was not my position. Like look, I love to be physical. I'll come down and knock your head off, but
Yep.
I say defense was not my thing.
Uh-huh.
And I, started to figure that out, and then I wasn't really getting any playing time over on that side of the ball. So yeah, I started thinking about life after football even then. But
Mm.
even during those times, I still had in my spirit like I'm going to the NFL. I don't know how, but I'm going. Like, but of course, I still did think about life after football. But I couldn't see past football at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really wasn't until I got to the NFL that I started to really think about life after football.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what was that thought process like? You know what you know what continued to be a glaring thought in your mind, like, okay, I need to start do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, other than like, building the relationships, because, you always hear people tell you, you need to start talking to people, at these, because we always have like donor events or, like charity events, just making connect. People always say make those connections there.
Yeah.
Because you never know, outside of football, if you had to call somebody up one day and like, look, I'm looking for a job, or, I met you at X, Y, and Z, and, just catching up. And people always say, use your name while it's hot, because when you're
Mm-hmm.
done, it started to cool off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And, I experienced that too. Um, but, I guess the thought process when I was in the league and I, was out for a little while where I didn't get picked up for like maybe like 7 months or something like that. I started to think back about a conversation that he was actually my barber at the time.
Mm.
He would come to the football center to cut all the players, and his name was Jamel Irvin. He was studying to be a real estate agent also. So he was a barber, but he was studying to be a real estate agent, but he was kind of dabbling in it already. And he was telling me about the concept of flipping and the concept
Mm-hmm.
of rentals and stuff. And I always give credit to him, man, because he sparked that interest. At that time, it wasn't really like, oh, let me go look into this, because again, I was focused on trying to play football,
Yep.
and wasn't and stay eligible. That's
Yep.
another subject.
Yep.
But when I got to the league, I remember that conversation, and it piqued my interest then, but I didn't really dive into the specifics or trying to figure out like what all that entails. He would tell me, but it's kind of one ear out the other
Yep.
at that time. So when I didn't get picked up, this was like in 2014. I actually went to go get my real estate license. And I was in the class, like I was probably on like the second or the third day, and I ended up getting a phone call from the Bears. So,
Mm.
I went back to work, but that kind of started, the real estate journey, if you will. So, at that point is when I really started, to look forward to like, okay, this might be something I want to do. But again, at that point, I still hadn't dove into it like, I probably could have.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was long and short. That was during that time was when I started to really look forward to, what am I going to do when I'm done?
I'm here with former NFL standout and current businessman Shaun Draughn. Shaun, so you decide to ultimately make the transition into the real estate industry.
Hmm.
What about the business really piqued your interest?
Um, so when I got into it, it was kind of up and down. So I knew like I had some money that I wanted to invest, and I knew I could.
Mm,
I started when I was looking into like the flipping thing. I got into it and was like, I knew I could make money investing. A certain amount of money, I could put this amount of money in it and then make this amount of money. That's
hmm.
what it piqued my interest then,
Sure.
from that standpoint. And I did it. My first one I did in 2014, I think.
Hmm.
And this was like while I was still playing, but somebody else was managing it, so I didn't really get the full
Ah.
experience of
Hmm.
being in it. Like I
What
had
city did you do it in?
it was actually new. It's Fayetteville.
Hmm.
What's the other?
Rayford?
Rayford. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It was in
yeah.
Rayford?
I
Okay.
think it was
Yeah.
in Rayford. Yep.
Okay. Yep.
But yeah, it was like a little 3-2.
Yep.
I bought it for like 60,000. I put 20 in it, and then I
Hmm.
sold it for like 112 or something like that.
Yep.
So it
Yep.
was, I made a little
Yep.
money, but not as
Sure.
much, as you could have.
Yep.
But I was, doing a lot of researching at that point and like really diving into it. I kind of got off a tangent. I don't even remember
No, no,
what
you're
the
good.
question
No,
was.
no, you essentially answered the question, which was, just what piqued your interest about the real estate business.
Oh,
And I think it sounds like, first, just being straight to the point, it's the amount of money that can be made
right, right,
even out of one transaction
correct.
as an investor.
Yeah. So, like I said, I didn't get to manage that one as much as I
Right,
wanted to.
right.
But then I, ended up going to another project, which my first project in Durham, that I did, and that one, was
Ooh,
the
that's a
spread
hot
was a
market.
little, yeah. And
Hmm.
this was in, I can't remember when that was. That might have been I can't remember. It was my second or third
Hmm.
one at that
Hmm.
time. But I got into it, and then I was managing it. Like I, kind of had an idea of the process because again
Hmm.
I started to get deeper into like the actual concept and knowing what to do from A to B.
Right.
So I actually managed that one, and a lot of mistakes, a lot of things I didn't know, but
Mm.
in that I learned that I actually like that part of the business. And fast forward, that's what kind of sparked me to want to like actually start, the construction side of things. So not
Hmm.
just, the investing side, which is great. And of course we love that part of it, right? But then, you kind of got to wait to the back end to get your money, right? And
Hmm.
so, being able to manage a project and kind of see it from its conception and then, the finish aspect of it is what I really love, and that's what I like doing. So, that's what really piqued my interest to, continue to move forward in real estate.
Yeah. Um, Very interesting. And I want to kind of highlight that point that you made with being the project manager,
Hmm.
how you were then able to notice the mistakes
Yeah,
and learn from them. You know
hmm
what I'm saying? I mean, I
for
think
sure.
that's really important because I think on the one hand, it's one thing to say that I want to invest a certain amount of money and make a certain amount of money, but there is oftentimes a learning curve
Oh yeah,
associated with
oh
that
yeah,
process,
right.
and but you become a better investor. You become a better
Absolutely,
business person.
right.
Did you notice that during the process of your career?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, that particular flip when I, initially managed it, again, I didn't know everything, but from
Hmm.
that, I learned what not to do. But I also, it may not be what other investors are doing. Like, there's no one way to do things. There's an
Mm.
efficient way to do things that you want to do things in that manner, and I'm still kind of trying to figure that out as well. Like, what's most efficient for the process that I want it to look like, and
It's
the
never
speed of
ending. It's
things.
never
Yeah,
ending. Yeah.
it
Hmm.
is. You're always getting better. It's kind of like training in
Yep.
football. You're a rookie at one point, but then you start as a vet. You start to gain more experience, more knowledge, and more wisdom on how to move. And that's kind of what I'm experiencing now.
As a home builder, I would imagine you're constantly also not just in search of homes, but
Hmm.
also in search of land,
Yeah.
land opportunities. How difficult is it to find good parcels to actually put houses on?
So it's pretty hard. I guess there's not a lot of land from the start,
Hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
when the land is available, it's way too high to yield a good profit margin.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times I don't even do the deals. And again, that's another thing. I'm like, when you were young and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna get this deal, I'm gonna get this deal. I'm just pick up anything I can. But as you continue to learn your numbers and how what things cost, and as a builder, it's you go in a little
Mm-hmm.
more strategic because of the fact
Mm-hmm.
that you look at COVID, where you went into a project and you were thinking it was going to cost you 100,000 and it ended up costing you two,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody can plan for that.
No,
I don't think we'll. I can't say I don't think we'll see it again, but
I hope
you
not.
know, yeah,
Good
I
Lord, I
pray.
hope not.
I'm telling
Mm-hmm.
you. But yeah, going into those things, I'm a little bit more strategic on things. But to your question, it's very hard to find land, but that's another thing too. I'm like, wearing so many hats in your business.
Mm-hmm.
You're working in the business, working on the business, and trying to find the deals. That's when it's that time to start to scale. And
Mm.
that's where I am, right now in my business, where I'm adding the right people, to be able to do that, and that way, I'm not doing the acquisitions and procurement and the whole construction process. So, um, but yeah, it's hard to find.
I love what you just said about getting the right people on your team.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's something that you actually learn in sport
Right.
is getting the right people on the team. I mean, I'm pretty sure I know I have. You also
Hmm.
probably have been on bad teams and you've been on good teams. And it's
Correct.
a big difference in
Yeah,
terms of the type of person that is a
yeah,
part of the team and how when you get a good group of good people, um, it just everyone's is of the same mind and we're
yeah.
pointing in the same
Same
direction. On a
direction.
bad team, it's like everybody's in it for themselves.
Hmm.
This person wants this person wants that, and it's just like it just breaks the whole ship down. What is
It
your
does.
process, Shaun, that you're currently going through, that you've been through, of finding good people?
Well, I start with subs.
Hmm.
So subs are a part of finding the good people. I mean, that's
Hmm.
that's the lifeblood of your business. And what I do.
Hmm.
Um, it's been, like I said, there's been some trial and error. I mean, and again, there's other things that I learned now. You gotta vet these guys. There's a lot of guys that say they do X, Y, and Z. What I have learned is that the one who says he's advertising himself as a painter, but then he says,
Hmm.
"Hey, I do trim too, right?" Uh, to stay away from those guys. Those
Right.
those are ones that get you in trouble. I'm trying to tell you. So just
Yep.
again, I think learning the right people is learning from your experiences, and just trying to not make the same mistake. But as far as like your team, I think as far as your team, that you've been on many different teams and there's
Hmm.
different personalities. But again, you all have the same common goal and somewhat of the same drive. I think, for me, I'm like, I'm on go. Like once I see something, I need it ASAP. Like,
Hmm.
and some people don't operate like that. So you gotta kind of figure that out. And I try, you have to form a relationship with them too, like a personable
Hmm.
relationship. It can't just be work. And I've learned that from football, to where guys want to run through a brick wall for certain coaches, but other coaches, I'm like, hey, I'm not going above and beyond for you. Like,
Right.
I'm gonna do the bare minimum. And
Right.
me as a business owner now, I have to understand that I'm a coach and these are
Mm.
players. We're on the same team. Like, you're not. I don't like to say working for me. You working with me. And
Hmm.
if you form a relationship with that person, then I think they're more apt to be a little more loyal, and want to do the work that is ahead of them.
I want to show you. I want to share my screen with you. Stand by
Okay.
one moment. Let's see here. So,
Mhm.
Shaun, can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay. So I am on Shonda Drawn's website.
Hmm.
Uh, your wonderful wife, who is, by the way, a premier luxury real estate agent
Yeah,
here in the Raleigh-Durham market. And the two of you, I would imagine, work in tandem to build this family business that you guys are currently putting together.
absolutely.
Whose bright idea was this, Shaun? Who's the mastermind?
So, like I said, I got into doing get my real estate license, and
Hmm.
Shonda, she wasn't necessarily into it, and
Hmm.
then uh, I stopped because I had to go back to work. But then she was like, maybe I should get my license. I was like, I think that would be a
Hmm.
great idea. And when I come back home talking about doing some flips or doing these investments, she's a very conservative person. So that's why I
Right.
think she's more on which we work together well. That's why she's on that side and I'm on the other side of things. Like she got to know a plan. She got to have a plan. I can't just say, "Look, I'm gonna buy this house for 60,000, put 20 in it, and we're gonna get 112 out of it."
Yep.
Okay, it sounds good, but how do we get there? Like she got to find like that's her personality. But we definitely work well together, man. That's my best friend right there. So she's but yeah, it's a beautiful thing to be able to be in the same industry with your spouse, and for her to be where she is right now, man. I'm super proud of her, because she was I hate to say in the shadows, but she put her life on basically on hold, to be able to follow me around, allow me to follow my dream, and take care of home. And it takes a different person to be able to do that. Not have
Hmm.
stability. Me being a free agent, and for her not to have the stability that I think everybody craves. She
Hmm.
handled it with a lot of grace, man, a lot of grace, and that kind of propelled her into her business as well. She's not just a realtor; she's a counselor. She's talking people off ledges every day. I
Hmm.
mean,
Hmm.
and she just has that temperament to be able to handle those things. And man, I'm super proud of her. But it means a lot to be able to be able to do these things with your spouse.
She just does such great work as an agent, and I think
Yeah,
one of her great assets is her ability to communicate
yeah,
and her humanity, her
right.
empathy, her level of
You
being
said
able to connect with people is extraordinary. And I
well
noticed
said.
that the first time that I met her, I said, "Wow, that woman has that sort of energy, and
She has a
and
gift, man.
is very noticeable." Yes, sir,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is.
man.
And Shaun, you guys have how many children do you have?
We have two. 12-year-old
Yeah.
girl is London. 9-year-old boy is Camden.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
and she's running a house, and she is that's awesome. That's
yeah, she
awesome.
is.
So yeah, so for those of you looking to buy or sell real estate, man, Shonda Drawn,
Yeah,
she is a person you want to talk to.
yeah.
But that's a good agent. Uh,
Appreciate that.
here's another question that I have for you.
Hmm.
What are some of the highlights of being a home builder that really gets you excited? Like, outside of, the financial
Hmm.
element, what are some of the things that's just, basically the thing that gets you excited, that, gets you going?
So when I get to walk through a home during or before closing with the homeowner, I think that's the most gratifying part because you see what you put into that process. Like they have a little idea, but they have no idea like what it took to actually build that house. But when they come in and
Mhm.
they're appreciative of what they see and the quality and your heart for what you just the product that you're putting them in,
Mhm.
with a huge life decision, and they're trusting that what you built would be something that that be there for years to come, and for
Yeah.
them to enjoy and have family and friends over. And for me, I think that that's the most gratifying part. Just walking through and they're just like, I love when you how you did this, because when they're showing the house, because I'm doing a lot of specs, right? I'm not
Hmm.
necessarily working with homeowners yet. We're building to that point,
Hmm.
to where we're doing custom. But right now, I'm doing a lot of spec homes, so I'm not working with the buyer until they get to the process of like due diligence and all that stuff, or before closing during the blue tape and all that. So they don't you don't get to see kind of they don't get to see like the process, all right?
Hmm.
And I think that's a gratifying thing when they are in the house and they're like, I love that you did the tile like this. I love that you put a closet
Hmm.
here. I love that this, like they're describing exactly what you were going through the process in your head when
Right.
you were designing the house, and they're appreciating that. And I'm like,
Yep.
I'm glad you noticed that. You know
The
what I mean? Like
details.
the
The
details.
details.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So that's definitely gratifying. I love that aspect, and you know, the same. My wife would say the same thing. Her craving for stability and being able to help somebody find a home is what really drove her to be a real estate agent, and what now drives her, and now is kind of spills over into what I'm doing, where you know I get to provide that as well on the home building side. So
Hmm.
it kind of ties in together. So I think she would say the same thing. But yeah, that's the most gratifying part for me.
You know, a lot of guys that are currently, I was actually up at the NFL Combine this past week,
Okay.
and chatting uh, with a couple of guys, but mainly with a lot of the wealth advisors. But what I what one of my takeaways, Sean, was that, to the point that you made earlier, a lot of guys, it's hard to see beyond what you're currently doing. And I get that. I
Yeah.
totally get that. I mean,
Yeah.
there's actually value to that as well, to be
It
clear.
is. It
To
is.
be hyper focused on the
Mm-hmm.
work that
At
you're
hand.
currently doing that's in front of you.
Right.
No doubt about it. It's just, unfortunately, the element of sport is that things happen in sport.
Right.
You get hurt, the team goes a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things can happen, and
Yeah.
it's outside of your control. Whereas in business, you have not everything in your control, but you have more things in your control, and
Mm-hmm.
you can you can direct.
Right.
But one of the things that I recognized was that, um, oftentimes there isn't this plan B. That plan B is figuring out how to make plan A work, and that's a
Mm-hmm.
nice
Mm-hmm.
phrase. That's a nice quote.
Right.
I love that quote. It's pretty
Right.
cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're operating according to wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
we should perhaps
That's
plan a
key.
little bit differently.
That's key.
What is some advice, because you had a long career in
Mm-hmm.
comparison to what the average NFL player
Right.
plays for.
Yeah.
Uh, what is some advice? What's some advice that you can give a young guy right now who's building their career in the NFL, but perhaps hasn't began to consider that transition
Mm-hmm.
away from the game?
It's a that's a loaded question.
Hmm.
But to that point, I think just being able to, like I said, when people would tell you to make these relationships, like I really feel like that is a key, like top priority to
Mm.
nurture relationships. For, like first and foremost, I would say that. But secondly, we as athletes in the league, in college, they told you what to do, when to do it, what time to be there, how to do it. So we don't have no problem doing this stuff. The problem we have in transition is that we don't know how to do that in our everyday lives. Like now we have to
Mm.
transition into another profession, another season in life that we don't know how to manage our own time. And I think to that point, time blocking and being able to learn time management is key. It enables you to still focus on the task at hand, which is staying on the team, working out, nutrition, all of those things, right? That it increases your chances of staying on the team. It doesn't guarantee you to stay on the team, right?
Hmm.
But being able to focus on that, but also implement some other things. Like you got time. I mean, you may work out once or twice a day, but you still have time, like in the off season, to like I said, build those relationships or look up a subject that you may be interested in and just read about it, research it. There's no or if there's a person in a profession, that's the relationship part. So actually, what I did when I was in San Francisco my last couple of years, I reached out to I forget who exactly put me in touch with him, but he was the he was the main guy. He was like I don't know what you call him. I don't know if he was GM, what you call that, but he was the head guy at CBRE.
Okay. Hmm.
And he played football for the Niners. And I told my player development guy that I wanted to get into real estate. This is when I was like heavy into it. And so he's like, I got a guy that works at CBRE. He's like one of the main guys. And so I went and did a summer intern. Well, it was during the spring actually. During OTAs, that's when you got a lot of time. Like
Hmm.
you're
Hmm.
away from the family most of the time.
Hmm.
When, especially for me, like I didn't move my family until the season started. So you had a
Right.
lot of time, and so I went and actually got I did an interview that like a formal interview when suit and tie, suited and booted. I had
Hmm.
my resume, work on your resume as well. That's another
Hmm.
thing. And
Yes.
people don't think they have a resume when they're just doing football, but you do. Like people love athletes, like
Hmm.
just the work ethic behind it. But anyway, I went to CBRE and did like a little internship there, and just learned about commercial real estate, and the things that they were doing. I didn't necessarily want to be an agent at that time, but I just wanted to learn anything and everything about real estate, anything I could, because you never know how you can implement it somewhere else. But doing those types of things are key. So, like I said, learning how to manage your time and time block and still be focused on what you need to be focused on, but still be able to, because as an athlete and during the off season, man, all you want to do is work out and chill.
Yep.
But you got to get over that, and really start to put yourself out there. So that's what would be my advice.
I'll wrap this up with the foundation, the family foundation that you and Shonda have established. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so coming from a small town, there's not a lot of opportunity. I tell
Mm.
people all the time, man, an hour and a half down the road when I got to Chapel Hill, I was in culture shock. Like I didn't even know that existed. When
Hmm.
being a photographer, I never really, I never been out of the country. I never shoot. We went to Florida or something like that, but other than that, we really go a lot of places.
Right.
And just having that opportunity to be able to experience things once I was in, college or in the league, it opened up my eyes to so many different things that I didn't even think about. And so in starting the foundation, that was kind of my motivation and, exposing kids to, different opportunities that may not otherwise be available if I didn't, expose these things through the foundation. So, we did a lot of STEM camps. We did some,
Mm.
some food drives or whatever, but the main goal is to be able to expose the kids to different opportunities outside of, where they are. We haven't done a lot with it since COVID because that kind of killed a lot of things, but we're in the process of trying to get that back started. But yeah, that was the heart for it. And Drone Family Foundation, family is huge for me. I grew up in a 2-parent household. I was very blessed to have both my parents. My granddad was a pillar, and he passed away when I was 7. But strong man, and just being a man of family and values is the reason and your name is what you have, right? Your name it precedes you. A lot of times it can be good or bad. And I wanted the name. I just wanted that name to carry on and be something that's a pillar in the community.
And it most certainly is, my friend. It most
I
certainly
appreciate it.
is. And if Tammy and I could be involved in any kind of way, you please let me know. I mean
Will do.
that.
I appreciate it.
But Mr. Shaun Draughn, such a pleasure having you, man. You
Appreciate you
are one
having
of
me.
a kind, and looking forward to watching your continued success, my man.
I appreciate it, man. Likewise.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you.
All right then.
Can't stop, we can't lose, you can't win if you snooze. So do more and say less. So get up and let's work and be the best. Yeah, you're tuned in to the Steve Gunner Podcast. Yeah, the Steve Gunner Podcast. You're tuned in to the Steve Gunner Podcast. Get up, it's the Steve Gunner Podcast.